The 80s starts March 31st at 9 on CNN.
It's become a rallying cry for Ted Cruz, and his message to establishment Republicans is clear: unite behind me to defeat Donald Trump. Well, this week, Jeb Bush joined Camp Cruz following the lead of Carly Fiorina and Senator Lindsey Graham. But last night, Graham paid a visit to Comedy Central, where he talked about the race for the White House and gave this less than ringing endorsement of Ted Cruz.
It's safe to say that you are/were/are not a fan of Ted Cruz.
It tells you everything you need to know about Donald Trump.
Yeah, but I don't understand this. You really don't like Ted Cruz.
I don't dislike Ted. Ted and I have a lot of differences. I'm getting better at this. So,
Alrighty then, let's talk about that. Jason Johnson is politics editor for TheRoot.com, and John Avlon is editor-in-chief of the Daily Beast. So, John, you write this about the crisis for the Republican establishment. We'll see it in a second. But anyway, you wrote an article about it in the Daily Beast, and it was really interesting. And you said things like that could actually backfire on Ted Cruz, right?
Yeah, we've got the GOP's got a real problem. They can't ignore it. I mean, they've elevated Trump and Cruz. 60% of the party supports them. The center-right folks are backing, Cruz instead of Kasich, who polls show is a better general election candidate than Hillary Clinton, and it really speaks to a certain impotence on the part of the center-right, or what's left of it, that's trying to pretend it's a matter of expediency. It's not. This is a deep problem that needs to be addressed, whether now or more likely after the election. That's where the real work may begin.
So, Jason, instead of endorsing a guy you really don't like, what should establishment Republicans do?
They have to stop what they're doing now. Like, you can just sort of see Lindsey Graham having to take like a drink of wine and say, okay, now I have to go out and pretend I like these people. At the end of the day, the Republican Party just needs to be honest about the fact that they don't want to support Donald Trump. And if you're an establishment person, rather than going out and saying you support someone you don't like, support some down-ticket candidates. Just criticize Donald Trump. But going out and claiming that you're supporting someone that you're not enthusiastic about, that you have nothing positive to say about, it hurts Ted Cruz, it strengthens Donald Trump, and it makes the entire party look foolish.
Okay, let's talk about these interesting polls that came out this morning, a CNN ORC polls. We've talked about Donald Trump's, appeal to the middle class, but when you look at this poll and when the question is asked who is more in touch with the middle class, Clinton comes out with 51% to Donald Trump's 36%. Does this surprise you, John?
Well, it surprises me only to the extent that the narrative has all been about how Donald Trump is going to appeal to middle-class voters and reanimate the Reagan Democrats. But Hillary Clinton's campaign has been focused on messaging towards the middle class, at least, since the beginning. What's significant is that in the Democratic Party, she actually, for a period, was falling to Bernie Sanders in that key demographic. And here's the big point, Carol. What we know, elections are won in America by the candidate who connects with moderates and the middle class. So if you become kryptonite and an insult comedy approach to running for president ends up alienating a lot of those folks because it just doesn't meet common sense standards, then you're in deep, deep trouble. That's Donald Trump's problem, and by transitive property, that's the Republican Party's problem right now.
So Jason, are we overplaying the popularity of Mr. Trump?
No, but it's somewhere between everyone thought he was a flash in the pan and everyone thinks he's a revolutionary. At the end of the day, look, I'm from Ohio. There's a lot of people who support Donald Trump, who like who he is. They think he's a salt of the earth, asphalt kind of guy. But the thing is, he's offensive. He offends women. He offends brown people. He offends black people. He offends lots of white people. And if you offend people on a regular basis, usually you can't win an election with people wanting to vote against the other guy. But that's what's going to happen right now. You got a lot of people who are just saying never Trump under any circumstances. And all Hillary has to do is not look offensive, and she might be able to win the presidency.
All right, I have to leave it there. Jason Johnson, John Avlon, thanks to both of you.
Thanks, Carol.